Good morning, this is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and you're listening to Coffee with Kris, the time of the day where we share a cup of coffee and share a bit of the Word of God. Thank you so much for joining me this Monday morning for a hot cup of Joe and a hot cup of the Word of God. This is the Torah portion of Toldot, which means genealogies, generations, histories, whatever you want to call it. And today's passage is taken from Genesis chapter 26, verses 6 through 12. And so the title of today's devotional is, sound familiar? Let's jump right in. So in Genesis chapter 26, beginning with verse 6, it says, "So Isaac stayed in Gerar. Now the men of that place asked about his wife, so he said, she's my sister?" Because he was afraid to say, "She's my wife," or else the men of that place would kill him on account of Rebekah, because she was so good looking. But after he had been there for a long time, King Abimelech of the Philistines peered down through the window, and he saw, and behold, Isaac was caressing his wife Rebekah. They were engaged in foreplay. Verse 9, so Abimelech called Isaac and said, "So, in fact, she is your wife. Now how could you say she's my sister?" And Isaac said to him, "Because I said, or else I might die because of her?" Then Abimelech said, "What is this that you've done to us? One of the people could have easily slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." So Abimelech commanded all the people, saying, "Whoever touches this man or his wife will surely die." Does this sound familiar to you? I mean, are you experiencing any deja vu here scripturally? Well, where have we heard this story before? Well, the exact same thing took place in Genesis chapter 20, verses 1 through 18. Abraham did the exact same thing to pretty much the exact same king. Well, it really wasn't the same king, but I'm sure this Abimelech was the descendant of the Abimelech that Abraham encountered. But we see the very same thing. Isaac told the exact same lie as his father. Now, his father's lie was more of a half-truth. It was a lie of omission, but Isaac's lie was just a flat-out lie. See, this should all teach us that children pick up on the sins of their parents if not corrected. You know, it's like that old after-school special or that public service announcement, you know, where the father comes in and he sees all the alcohol bottles in his son's closet and he says, "Where did you learn to do this? Who taught you this?" "I learned it from you, Dad. I learned it from you," right? And the guilt sets in because his father was an alcoholic, you know. So Isaac learns how to lie from his father Abraham. As they say, like father, like son. But the thing is about the sins of the father, sometimes parents don't feel like they have the right to correct their kids because their kids are doing the same thing they did, and it's like, well, what right do I have to tell them because I did the same thing? But you do have a right because you are their parent, and just because you did it doesn't mean you're a hypocrite for telling them not to do what you did. You just say, "Look, I screwed up. I made a mistake. I made a bad mistake, and I didn't follow God. I didn't follow His word, and all this hurt me, and I don't want to see you hurt. And just because I did it doesn't give you permission to do it. I want you to learn from my mistake. I want you to be better than me and not do this thing that I did." As the saying goes, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So I've said this many times before in past Coffee with Kris's. I love the fact that God shows the imperfections, flaws, mistakes, and even gross sins of the heroes of the Bible because it shows that they were just like us. They were human, just like us. They made mistakes just like us. Now, the benefit of knowing their dirty laundry is that we can learn from their mistakes and not do what they did. We can learn from their experience and become better without having to go through the negative experience that ultimately ends up improving us. So guys, be honest with your children, your grandchildren, be honest with your family and friends. And if you have made a mistake and sinned in a very gross way, own up to it. And say, "Hey, it was my mistake, but because of the blood of Yeshua, because of the grace of God, I've repented. I'm not going to do it again. I've learned from my mistake, and now I can be that example to you so you don't have to do what I did. You don't have to learn through the school of hard knocks. You can learn from my bad experience and not do what I did in the first place and be a better person than I am." We all want our children and people that follow us to be better than us. The goal of a rabbi is for his student to become better than him. We want to produce better than what we were. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Shalom and God bless.